Have you ever felt like you have a message burning inside you, but you have no microphone? Then, my friend, you're in the right place. So I'm so glad you're here. I am Jana the Toy, and we're going to learn about your voice is your vessel, how to find it and use it. And we're going to talk a little bit about the voice clarity framework today. So the voice clarity framework is a prophetic framework to activate your brand voice starting today. So if for those of you that don't know me, I'm Jana the Toy. I am a faith-based business and AI strategist, and I help Christian female experts to find their voice, their tribe, and to sell their expertise organically using Facebook only to get their first 5K to 100K months, 5K to 100K organically online. So why I do what I do, I feel like God has given me an Esther mantle, an Esther anointing, an Esther mandate, whatever you want to call it, to reach the kingdom by activating women in their calling. So that is why I'm here. All right. So do you feel like your voice is overlooked, under-celebrated, or even spiritually silenced? Yes, I remember that season too well. You know, when you make launches or lives and nobody shows up, where you create content but nobody, you know, it's just crickets. All right. So I was a woman with a heart full of fire, but a Facebook feed full of crickets. So maybe you're relating to that. No one was listening, not because I wasn't called, but because I haven't yet claimed my sound. So until the Lord whispered something that shifted everything for me. And he said that my voice is not just an expression, it is a vessel for his use, for his honor. All right. So when we speak from what God, the message that God places on our hearts, it's no longer just noise, it becomes our oil, right? So the enemy isn't just after our finances and our following and our focus. He is actually after our frequency, and our frequency is our sound. Why? Because when the daughter of the king finds her voice, then system shifts, mantles drop, atmospheres bend. So 1 Peter 4 verse 11 says, "Speak as one who utters the oracles of God." Oracles are divine messages from God. So that means when you speak, you're not just offering opinions, you are releasing blueprints. You're not just here to be visible, you're here to be vocal with your power. And I just want to double check if I am live and if everybody can hear me. So if you're here, just say hashtag live or hashtag replay. Let me just see on my side if I can hear and see myself. I can see the video. Let me just see if I click.
Just want to double.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. Right. So we're not here to be visible. We're here to be vocal with our power. Right. You don't need another algorithm trick. You just need to find your voice. If you ever felt like your content is good, but it's not hitting or it's not moving or it's not activating, there is a reason for that. And it's not because you're not smart or you're not called or you're not passionate. It is because your voice, the real one, the anointed one, is buried under performance, perfectionism, and what other people say that will work. Okay. So let me be clear right now. We are never meant to just post like a billboard. We're never meant to just echo trends. We were never meant to write just like a brand. We are born to write like a voice. And in this kingdom era, women who will rise into influence, into impact, into income are not always the most loudest or the most polished. They are the ones who have actually clarified their voice spiritually, strategically, and also prophetically. So that is why I created the voice clarity framework that I want to share with you guys quickly today. Why does it matter? Your voice isn't just a sound, it is an assignment, right? It is the oil that you carry, the mantle that you release. It is a space in the digital realm that only you can fill. You don't need to do everything pretty, but you do need a prophetic frequency. So you don't need to post 30 posts a week and go crazy, throwing spaghetti at the wall. You just need the right message, maybe once a week, that drips with heaven and it pierces through distraction. So let's walk through what this next level looks like, where our voice becomes a vessel. We actually just need 3 voices that shift atmospheres and helps us to sell with integrity. So I want to break down the voice clarity framework for you here that will really help you show up with truth, with trust, and with transformational power every single time that you speak and that you post. So this framework carries 3 essential expressions of your voice. Number 1 is the voice of pain. Number 2 is the voice of promise. And number 3 is the voice of power. So if you don't have a pen and paper yet, go and grab that, because I'm going to give you specific instructions of how we can use these 3 voices. When all 3 of our voices align, our voice of pain, our voice of promise, and our voice of power, then our audience feels seen. So, and when they come in alignment, we're no longer just posting content, we're releasing conversion portals, because our audience won't just hear us, they will hear from God. And that's what God is actually raising you up to do, right? Number 1 is the voice of pain. So talk about what have you been through. And this is the part that most coaches skip, because you don't want to show up as weak, you don't want to show up as unpolished. But here's the truth. All pain is actually a passport. It shows someone else that you've been there, done that, you've got the t-shirt, you've got the cap, right? Your audience is not looking for perfection, they're actually looking for permission. And that permission is permission to be human, right? Permission to heal, permission to hope again. So that's what we're trying to give to our audience. So when we speak from the voice of pain, we are building trust on a soul level, because people feel it. People can hear our thoughts and they can feel it, right? So, I remember when I launched my first offer and it was just crickets. I had to do 7 live launches before I had my first paying client. But, telling these stories of pain and of failure isn't just stories. They are keys that actually unlock the cages for other women. So here's the truth. When we steward our pain well, it becomes prophetic. We are not revisiting the wound, we are releasing the wisdom that it gave us. So we're not sharing our wounds, we are sharing our scars. So what's the difference between sharing a wound and sharing a scar? Sharing a wound means it's still raw and real and like it's painful and you're not over it yet. And we don't want to do that, because you're still then in victim mentality, you're still in pain, it's still very much raw. We want to share from a point of a scar where this wound has already healed and you've recovered from that and the lessons that you've learned through the story. So do you see the difference? So we are releasing wisdom that this pain gave us. So, and that wisdom is what builds this bridge between us and our audience's struggle and the solutions that we provide for them. So number 1 was the voice of pain, what you've been through. Number 2 is the voice of promise, what God showed you. So this is the voice that comes from your scroll. This is what God is speaking to you. This is the preachers that you're listening to. The still small voice that whispers to you, the direction you should go. This is prophetic insight that you received in your wilderness season. The scriptures, the downloads that you wrote in your journal before anyone was actually watching. The words that God whispered to you and no one else could hear that. Because that voice is sacred. That's the voice of God coming through, right? And it's the difference between regurgitating information and advice and releasing anointed instruction. So when you speak from the voice of promise, you're not just adding value, we are adding vision. We are adding prophetic vision. We are reminding other people that, what is possible in their life, what is available, what is already written in their divine DNA. So we are not just selling, we are stewarding our scrolls, our callings. We are not just, when we keep silence, We think maybe I'll keep silent because of humility, but it's not humility. It's actually disobedience, because there are people outside there in the world that are praying for your solution, that are crying to God to raise someone up to help them, and you are playing small, right? So this is what the world is hungry for. It's not just information, but it's impartation. Your voice of promise lifts your content out of the noise and into the prophetic. So that's number 1 and 2. So the voice of pain is number 1, what you've been through. Number 2 is the voice of promise, what God showed you. And number 3 is the voice of power. So what are you here to build? So now we step into mantle mode. What has God raised you up to do? Right? So here is where you go from storytelling to actually system building, where you go from building a personal brand to being a prophetic architect, where you go from an influencer to being a governor. So your voice of power is your assignment voice. It's the part of you that doesn't just talk about the problem, it shifts the problem. This is where you actually articulate your method, your mission, your movement. Like I will say, I help faith-driven women turn their voice into a vessel that sells organically and powerfully. Or I don't just teach copy, I teach prophetic clarity that converts hearts and closes high-ticket sales. Or I could say, I'm not just here for viral, I'm here for visitation, where people encounter the kingdom through my message. The voice of power builds credibility, it builds confidence, and it commands respect. It also declares that this is a system that I've been sent to disrupt. Right? The blueprints that you've been given from God. This is where you no longer just post content, you release divine authority. And that makes people stop the scroll and say, wow, she's different. I need this. Right? So what happens when all 3 of these voices align? When you share your stories of pain and the stories of promises that God has spoken over your life. Hi Sarah, thank you for watching. Hi Monica, thank you for watching. When you share your pain and the promises that God has spoken over your life, your audience feels seen. When you create content that's around this promise that God has spoken to you and the voice of power, your structures, your systems, how you change the lives of your clients, your audience feels called. And when all 3 of these voices align, your audience is compelled to act. They don't just like your post, they come into your DMs and they want to work with you. They don't just say, wow, this is good. They say, well, this is what I've been praying for. They don't just follow you, they partner with you. Because suddenly, they're not just hearing a brand, they're actually hearing a blueprint. They're not just hearing a brand, they're hearing a blueprint, a heavenly blueprint. So let's go into the practical of how to actually create these posts. So let's create a voice of pain post. This is now where you tell a story of when things didn't work. So you're letting down your hair a little bit. You're rolling down the windows to the Rolls Royce proverbially. And you're letting people in. You're letting people see, what you've been through to have this oil, this anointing, this thing that breaks people free. So you tell the story. You're raw, you're real. And again, it's rooted in reflection, not in victimhood. Again, we're sharing the scar, not the wound. Okay, and we can end this kind of post with something like, if you're in this space right now, you're not alone, but you don't have to stay there. And that just calls our audience to take the next step with us, to not stay in that pain, but to start moving out of it. Let's look at creating the post number 2, like a voice of promise post. This is where we share moments that God has actually shifted our perspective. So we use phrases like, the Lord whispered to me, or he reminded me of, things like that. And then you could end this kind of post with, I believe he's saying the same to you today. If you feel like this is what he is saying to you to release into the kingdom today. And then post number 3 is the voice of power. So this is where you share one simple piece of framework, a method, a process with your audience that helps them imagine what is possible and how they can walk out of this hole that they find themselves in. So You could end this with a call to action like DM me voice if you're ready to clarify your message and release it with authority. So, all right, that is it. So final commissioning is you don't need another script. You don't need, you just need to be sent in your sound. You don't need to copy someone else's funnel. You just need to release the fire of your scroll. And when you do that, you unlock the voice of pain, the voice of promise, and the voice of power. Then you don't just create content, you shift culture. You go from posting to prove to posting with prophetic precision. You go from writing to be seen to writing to build legacy. You go from influencing with effort to governing with oil. And this is your Esther moment. This is your frequency shift. The frequency is just a sound shift. Now, speak, women of God. Your voice is a vessel that God uses, a vehicle that God uses, and heaven is waiting for you to stand in your calling, right? Imagine waking up to a DM that someone is writing to you that they want to start working with you. Or imagine filling your calendar with clients that feel sent to you. Like I often pray, Lord, send me prepared hearts. Selling your coaching with 0 ads, just alignment. Or attracting high-level women because your sound speaks before you enter the room. Because you're not born to stay hidden. You were born to herald. You weren't meant to play small in noisy spaces. You were meant to go global with heaven's assignment. Okay, so repeat after me if you're listening in. My voice is anointed. And I want you to drop it in the comments below. Write it in the comments below. My voice is anointed. My visibility is holy. Yes, even that. Write it in the comments. My visibility is holy. And lastly, my silence is over. I will be seen. I will be heard. I will be sent. My silence is over. I will be seen. I will be heard. I will be sent. Now, if you're ready to take the next step with me, I have 2 invitations for you. So you can choose which one aligns with the season that you're in right now. So if you're ready to find your voice, grow your audience, your tribe, and you want to start selling your expertise organically, join us over in the Unstoppable Faithpreneur Tribe. That is my free community, and I also offer a 5-day free crash course for you in there. So yes, Sarah, my voice is anointed, my visibility is holy, my silence is over. Perfect. And then the other invitation is, if you feel called to become a woman of influence, if you're ready to lead, to rise, and to reach a global audience with your divine refinement and your kingdom presence, then please come and join us in the Esther Mandate Legacy Builders and Global Leaders Group, where we will do all around, the messaging is all around that. So, last thought, this is not just a message, it is a mantle activation. Your voice is not too much, your message is not too late, and the mic is yours, and heaven is listening. So, ladies, let's rise. Thank you for watching. Bye.